Listen to another incident inside a grave. Once a frightened person presented himself in front of the Khalif Abdul Malik. He said, "O respected Khalif, I am a very sinful person. I wish to know whether I will be forgiven or not." The Khalif asked, "Is your sin bigger than the earth and sky?" He replied, "Yes, even bigger." The Khalif, he said, "Is it bigger than the divine pen and the divine tablet?" He replied, "Even bigger than them." And the Khalif asked, "It is bigger than the divine throne and the divine chair?" He replied, "Even bigger than them as well." And the Khalif then said, "Brother, surely your sin cannot be greater than the mercy of Allah." When the person heard this, he started to cry. And the Khalif said, "At least tell me what you have done." And the person, he said, "O Khalif, I feel extremely embarrassed to tell you. However, I will tell you. Perhaps there may be a way for my repentance to be accepted." Saying this, he began to reveal this story. He said, "I am a shroud thief. Tonight I learned a lesson from 5 different graves which have also forced me to seek forgiveness." And he says, "When I opened the first grave to steal the shroud, I noticed that the face of the deceased was turned away from the Qibla. As I began to run away in fright, an unseen voice made me tremble and I stopped." And he said, "Ask this person the reason for this punishment." Whilst trembling, I replied that I don't have that courage. And the voice again said, "This person was an alcoholic and he was an adulterer." Even the face when he turns away from Qibla, that is a big punishment itself. He says, "When I opened the second grave, I saw a heart-trembling scene. I saw that the dead person's face had become like a pit, and he was tied with locks of chains of fire. An unseen voice said to me, 'This person used to take false oaths and used to earn haram income.' When I opened the third grave, again I saw a most terrifying scene. The deceased had his tongue coming out from the back of his neck, and he had nails made of fire nailed into his body. An unseen voice said to me, 'This person used to backbite, he used to slander, and he used to make other people fight amongst themselves.'" So these kind of sins today, we think that these are very, very minor sins. You backbite against someone, you talk behind someone's back. So and so is like that, so and so is like that, he's a liar, he doesn't read his namaz. This is what you call backbiting. We don't see these kind of things as serious. And according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, whoever backbites, it is like if he has eaten the flesh of his dead brother. It's so common in the community. In the early days, in the books it says that in the early days, when people used to backbite against someone, a stench used to come from their mouth. And people used to recognize them that he has backbiting against someone, he has backbited against someone. But today, because it's so common, we don't see that. And then, my dear Islam brothers, making Muslims fight amongst themselves. So we fight, people are today fighting over small, stupid things. I'm going to tell you what happened about a week ago. In Dewsbury, a young brother was stood on the giveaway, and another Islamic brother who was driving, who wanted to turn into that giveaway. He didn't give his indicator, he just turned in. And the guy who stood there, he thought he was going to go past him. And what did he do? He turned his car around, he went back and he followed him. As soon as this other guy got off his car, he took a brick and he smashed it on his head. What was the reason? Why did you not indicate so that I could have gone out before you? Stupid things. He didn't finish there. He hasn't finished there. That is how stupid we are getting. These are the things which happened before Islam. This is what Jahiliyyah, this is what the Prophet ﷺ came and wanted to eradicate. But these things are creeping back into our communities and back into our lives. This brother, the one who got hit with the brick, his brother saw him. They ran after him, they chased him, and they beat the other guy. And he's still in a coma. I'm speaking now, he is still in a coma. His friends found out, they went to their house, knocked on the door, and they started beating his brothers up. And one of them took a screwdriver and straight into his eye. This brother brothers lost an eye as well. So what out of what, you probably laugh, and what, just only a stupid thing. One person's in a coma, Allah Ta'ala saved him, he was a Muslim, and the others lost his eye. What for? That is hard. This is what you call jahiliyyah. Uneducated, because we are not educated. Now, according to this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ, he says that you are not amongst us. That person is not amongst us. He is not amongst us. If that person causes harm to any Muslim, and cause harm, what does harm mean? It doesn't mean that you beat someone physically. Harm means that even you look at someone and you make him scared with your eyes. Even looking at him with a mean face like that, and you scare him, that is causing harm to him. And according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he is not amongst us. But what do we see today? We see gangs of youths walking on the streets, and then a person who is very weak and who is alone, he has to cross the road. There is no other choice. He has to cross the road. Or either he has to stop and stand behind a bar or a pole so that this gang can go through. For how long are we going to do that? For how long are we going to walk on the streets and try to scare our Muslim brothers and sisters? How long? Do we think that we're going to live in this world forever? Do we think that we are not going to die? Yes, we are going to die. You can do whatever you want in this world. But my dear Islamic brothers, just wait till we go inside that grave. We will find out what we did in the world. And then we will say, Ya Allah, send me back to the world. Oh Allah, please forgive me. I didn't know that I was going to be punished. But my dear Islamic brothers, we know. We know that. So when are we going to change ourselves? There was an article which I was reading. And in that article it says that at least 15 to 20 years ago, or even 20 to 25 years ago, in England, the biggest drug dealers were from the Afro-Caribbean countries. The biggest drug dealers. And now it says that 25 years later in the UK, the biggest drug dealers are from the Asian subcontinent. And what is the Asian subcontinent? Pakistan, India, or Bangladesh. This is the subcontinent. That, we shouldn't be putting our heads up with pride and say, yeah, we've done it. We haven't. We are putting a bad name to Islam. We are putting a bad name to our brothers. We are putting a bad name to this beautiful religion of Islam. When they read that, especially that story about the stabbing which in Dewsbury a couple of weeks ago, the whole newspapers were littered with that. And it's really sad when you sit down and you read these stories. But my dear Islamic brothers, today we need to think to ourselves, how long are we going to live in this world, and have we prepared anything for our graves? Have we prepared anything? Today, you see a lot of houses, people are building extensions. We are trying to build a good house in this world so that we can live a comfortable life. What about the grave? What about the grave? What have we prepared for our grave? And my dear Islam brothers, majority of us, and that's including myself as well, we will put our hand up and we will say that we haven't even started doing anything yet. And sometimes what happens is a bit too late. I just want to mention a story. Now, the stories before when I was talking, the shaitan might whisper this in the minds that, oh, these stories are 1400 years ago. You don't even know if they're true or not. That's what the shaitan does. And that is what the shaitan is wanting. Inna shaitan lil-insani aduwwun mubin. He is your enemy. The shaitan doesn't want you to listen to these kind of things. Even at this moment of time, if the shaitan is whispering in your minds, I don't know what he's talking about, let's go. Then a few brothers, they start walking off. Now the shaitan has beaten you. Because when does the shaitan want us to come to the masjid and to learn about Islam so that we can change our lives? 2 years ago, one of the brothers had an accident on the M62 motorway. He was driving very fast, he was having a race with someone, his car went out of control and he banged against the barriers and he died instantly. And he was only married a few weeks. So, he was only married for a few weeks. So many plans. Yet when his body was taken back to Pakistan, because he was a visitor, he came here just to work, his body was flown back to Pakistan. And the brothers, all from his family members, they came and they told the Imam Sahib in Dewsbury Masjid, they told him about this waqia, but they said that, we want you to keep it as a secret, don't mention the name, but we want you to tell this story so that people can learn a lesson from it.